going on? Sashi here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. I am joined by HellHades. Hades, welcome to the channel, man. How you doing?
Hey, Ash, I'm doing really well, thanks. Just fresh back from a holiday, so I'm feeling good.
Yeah, dude, jealous of the tan you got rocking right now. Welcome back. Are you back in the swing of things now?
Yeah, I was away for like 10 days, so it was a long time, but I'm back at it. I was back yesterday, kind of firing out some videos. So
all right. Sounds good. Sounds good, man. Well, hey, in September 2022, we are going to go ahead and review every single epic champion in the game, including all the new ones. A lot of epics change value depending on the content released inside the game. We're going to do half on my channel, half on your channel. I'll have the link to Hades' video for you guys as well. Hades, let's start out in Shadowkin. Want to just alternate the champs?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, let's
all
do
right.
it.
You're up first, man.
Right, we're going to kick off then with Tiradi. The Frog. I'd say like he was so underrated when he first came into the game, but he is a clan boss beast, especially if you do not have an unkillable team, because he brings the ally protect, he brings shields alongside it as well, he brings poison, and he also brings a decreased attack. So he's got like loads of kind of bits in his kits that are just perfect for clan boss.
Totally agree. Think, I love the passive poison that he brings to the table, like a mini Uros, the Soul Cage, and he's got the ally protecting the shield on a 3-turn cooldown. For an epic champion, that's really, really insane. It's a really good champ. Okay, Hatsu. Man, I really like this guy, man. He's got the probably the most pathetic wings in the game, I want to say. But, you know, poor fella. Either way, he's cool. He's got the leech on the A1. He's a defense-based champion with decreased attack and increased defense continuous heal on a 3-turn cooldown. He also has the defense aura. I really like him, especially for Faction Wars, you know, for a lot of people out there.
Yeah, for sure. For Faction Wars, he's really good. And I think he's got better kit than people give him credit for.
Yeah.
No, I underrated him for quite a while, actually.
Yeah, a champion like this, you know, if he was a legacy champion, like one of the old schools, we'd be talking about him like he's Tyrell, you know, or better, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Okay, Shani.
Shani, I'm not a massive fan of Shani, honestly. I don't think there's content where she really shines. I know that Shani's like a free to obtain type of champion for a lot of starters on these kind of starter packs. Yeah. She does bring a burn, and a burn is decent when you get a bit further into the game, but it's only a single target. For me, relatively weak in the game. What do you think? Anything that you would kind of pick her out for?
Yeah, I'm going to be totally real with you, man, and say that I have her, but I've never built her. And partially because of what you said. It's like kind of an underwhelming kit. I will say that her sure shot, that's a mouthful, sure shot passive is really cool, though. It's immune to decreased accuracy and increases champion's crit rate by 0.05% for each point of accuracy. That's cool, but paired with a kind of a meh kit. I don't think she's trash, but she just doesn't like average to me, you know?
Yeah. I wouldn't 6-star her.
Yeah, me neither. All right. Hey, we got one of the newbies. We got Nagario. There we go. I have a struggle with his name. This dude can hit hard, man.
Yeah. He came out whilst I was away, actually, so I didn't have a chance to really sort of see him coming through. But I'm being told this A3 can smack really hard. But other than that, seems like a bit of a weak kit.
Yes, that was my first impression, is like, okay, this is a skip for me. Like, who cares? You know, his skills are just whatever. But to your point, the faster than the eye. It's like, okay, he can really smack with this ability. That's pretty cool. Is that justified building him, 6-starring him? I guess it just depends if you really need a Shadowkin nuker, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I wouldn't have gone for him on my free-to-play, for example, mainly because I didn't feel like he was worth the resources. But if you get him from a shard, you know, you're going to build him out, he's going to do some good damage. That's it.
That's about
basically just damage,
I would probably not build him either on my free-to-play, you know, for the same reason. All right, Umatogi. What do you think of Umatogi?
Umatogi is a bit of a weird champion.
Yeah.
So Umatogi really needed to absolutely smack on her A1. Yeah, and if she did, I think she would have been really, really fun because of her passive skill. So whenever she's attacked, completely blocks a hit, and then counter-attacks with her A1, right? So everything's kind of reliant on that A1 being brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's just good.
Yeah.
You know, and like the rest of the kit's kind of average. So, you know, she's got an okay A3, but again, it's just very selfish. So for me, again, one that I would probably just pass. You know, she's okay, a little bit fun, but I wouldn't kind of invest heavily in her.
I totally agree, and you hit the nail on the head, man. Like, we've talked about this before, but selfish champions like that, I don't like it. The only way I like this ability is if you add grant an extra turn, you know? Like, selfish ability should have the grant extra turn on them. All right, next up is Sashi. Have you built Sashi? I've not built her, but people say she's amazing.
Well, she's got a cool A1, and, you know, an A1, which is an AoE with a decreased accuracy, it's pretty damn good. She's actually got a really good kit. So her A3 as well, turn me to Phil for all your team. You know, it's decent. And a leech as well. All in all, one of the better epics for this faction, I think.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're looking for faction war, she's going to be a really solid epic for you.
Absolutely. You can use her control if you wanted to, you know, with that with the stun set and decreased accuracy, or you could just build her as kind of a nuker. She got the increased attack, 3-turn cooldown. I agree, man. Maybe I should build her. I don't know.
I gotta say as well, like, decreased accuracy is being more and more relevant, right? A new boss that's coming through, it's going to be big, I think. It's decent for Hydra in certain places, some Doom Tower bosses. So in an AoE, decreased accuracy is actually pretty useful.
Absolutely. Fenshi we have next. Man, I didn't see the video, but I heard that he was on Deadwood's last like competition. I heard that he was like an all-star performer, especially obviously in Fire Knight, right? He can deal some damage, and he has like triple hitter, double hitter on the A3. So like overall, maybe a little bit one-dimensional in terms of, you know, Fire Knight specialist, but can definitely get the job done if you're looking for somebody to chip away that shield. Noteworthy that his A2 is a 2-turn cooldown.
Yeah, and that's what I'd say. He is a specialist Fire Knight, and if you need someone to help you with that, then he would be good. Outside of that, I don't think he'd get a lot of playtime, but you know, sometimes it's nice to have a specialist on your team. So yeah.
I agree. All right, Burengiri.
Burengiri. Now this is one I really like in this faction. Yeah, really cool kit. He's got an AoE stun on his A2. He's got good buffs on his A3 as well. Good passive, especially if you're looking for some like Bommel action. You know, one of like those kind of solo champions for the earlier levels of Bommel. He's actually got a provoke as well in his A1, which isn't the worst now when you're talking about things like, you know, Head of Decay in Hydra, albeit the rest of his kit doesn't suit Hydra super well. So, but yeah, the AoE stun is always going to be good for an epic. Can get it up to 60% chance, and mainly kind of used really for that kind of Bommel support. But
totally agree.
Epic.
Yeah, totally agree. You know, even the 25% strengthen on an epic champion, granted on a 4-turn cooldown, like that's really good. And good control. So I agree. Kunishi. This is a champion that I forgot what she does, to be honest with you. Okay, I built her. She has the AoE leech and the ally protect. Okay, now I remember her. My opinion on her is that her base stats don't necessarily justify the 3-turn ally protect with the turn meter fill. She takes a lot of damage. She's not super strong. She does have the leech. I think she's an okay champion overall. Big version of weaken on the A1. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I like AoE leech. I like the damage that comes out of that ability as well. It's pretty cool. And a passive is interesting. So she gets block damage whenever she drops below half health, which kind of supports the ally protect a bit better. But it is on a 5-turn. That's probably the weakness to her strengths, really, is that 5-turn on the block damage coming back. You know, you might get it once, you probably won't get it twice.
And then she dies. Yeah.
But actually, I mean, for Faction Wars, really good champion, I'd say. Because you need that protection. You need to be able to 3-star stuff, and she allows it. So quite interesting, I think. Quite a cool champ.
You know, I agree with you. For Faction Wars especially, because Ally Protect is the best damage mitigator in the game, as you know. And, you know, she's got it. She's got the lead. She got the big version of Weekend for the red boss. So, yeah. Talking me into her. All right. Wuji.
Okay.
Have you used Wuji? Yeah.
So I haven't. The only kind of visual I've seen of this champion was actually Nubraids doing a Hydra run. So she was one of the recent fusion champions, right? And basically, she can do a ton of damage when she's using that A1 because she has the ability to counterattack as an AoE, but it counts as single target hits. So she can do some work with this A1. The trouble is, she's got one of the lowest base healths in the game. Woo! Like just over 10,000.
10K.
She is so hard to keep alive. You have to just build her with this kind of whole team of people just to sustain her. Otherwise, she's in the dirt straight away. So kind of interesting kit. If her base stats were better, I think a lot of people would really like this champion.
I gotta say, That's a good point. I mean, I love Nub Raids, man. He's a really, really good content creator, and that's a great idea. Like, she is a Hydra specialist. She brings block buffs too, right? So I kind of want to try her out, man. Maybe I'll build her. But you're right, that 10k HP is like, dude.
It's so low.
What is she, an uncommon?
You need a whole group of legendaries in the team to keep her alive, basically. That's what you need.
Right?
But if you can, she seems fun.
Cool. Chinaru. I think she's one of the trashier Shadowkin epics. No offense, Chinaru. We get block buffs on the A1 triple hitter weekend. Remove increased defense. Okay.
Yeah, it's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah, man. I don't know. It doesn't do it for me, you know?
Just give her a cleanse, basically.
Yeah.
Give her a proper cleanse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yep. Okay.
So Dory, Mr. It's.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Now, this guy should be a Hydra specialist, right? In the same way that what's his name? Inquisitor Shamal is a Hydra specialist, right? Because his passive here counterattacks with Cold Comfort, which is his A1. Whenever an enemy places a stun, freeze, True Fear, whatever, on an ally. So every time that Head of Torment places True Fear, he should be A1-ing. Like you wouldn't believe. But he doesn't do it.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
So when they fix it, Plarium, you've got to be. You're watching. Somebody from Plarium's watching. Fix Gory, Fix Gory.
He should do a ton of damage with that ability, but he doesn't do any damage, and the rest of his kit is fairly mediocre, I'd say. So
okay, so we need to fix. Yeah.
He needs a fix or he needs a change. Because as he is, he doesn't really get a lot of playtime. He's got a little bit of control. If you're looking for, 100% chance to freeze on a free hitter on the A2 or Faction Wars again is actually pretty damn good. You need to control champions that you're going up against. So that's not a bad ability on a 3-turn cooldown. But yeah, I feel like he probably needs a bit more than what he's got.
Yeah, pretty underwhelming, especially since it doesn't work. That'd be a pretty big factor. Jurojin, the next guy here. I've never built Jurojin. However, I feel like he's just average to me. His A3 True Smite should smack. It's ignoring unkillable block damage and 25% of defense. But from what I've heard, it's not that insane. He is an HP-based champion, known to not be the heavy damage dealers in the game. So what are you doing with this guy, really,
Yeah, I mean, if you get him early, he's a decreased attack champion for clan boss, but I think you outscale him very quick.
He's got the aura, yeah. That's true. You could run him as like an aura lead early game, decreased attack, clan boss, Kanegashi. So we have the Reviver.
This is it. She kind of came in as a Reviver for the faction, albeit a conditional one. No, sorry, she revives a champion, but it's just a single, isn't it?
Yes, but, because it's Sashi and Gamaran or whatever have the conditionals. So she's the first non-conditional, but the rest of the kit is just kind of like average at best. Team up. She's an ally attack, but only one ally.
Yeah, you do get a turn meter feel. And I think I like what they were trying to do. It didn't quite land. It's my opinion. Didn't quite land where it should have been.
Yeah, I'm sure some people probably use her just to be, maybe even take her to 50, just have her Reviver, build her super tanky, So, I think it was needed, a Reviver, but we can argue about how effective she is.
Yeah.
So next up.
So Matamoto, I mean, we got a turn meter fill, we got an increased defense, but it's on a 4-turn, which is quite long.
Yes.
We've got an AoE decrease attack, which is nice, but there's quite a few of those in this faction. Mm-hmm. For me, pretty underwhelming. I think I like a turn meter fill. An increased defense is good if you've got defensive-based champions, because it's both buffing their damage as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't see a lot of playtime with Matamoto.
Yeah, I actually built Matamoto, just try her or him, I guess, or we don't know. Try them out. But, yeah, I mean, not bad. But to your point, it's just like not doing anything super special, and that 4-turn really hurts her on the Yojimbo ability.
Yeah.
So I agree. Aboro.
I thought you made that name up.
No, that's the name of the. It's like on that Yojimbo. Aboro. So you mentioned Aboro earlier. You're a massive fan?
Yeah, so Aboro, again, like a Hydra champion. Mm-hmm. Or if you're trying to beat some content and you've got other strong debuffers in your team, like she pairs really well with a Riho, for example, because the A1 becomes an AoE decreased defense if you've got plenty of debuffs on a target. And if you're talking Hydra, well, obviously Hydra, you're trying to get as many debuffs out there as you can, and she'll keep pumping away with this A1 and just throwing out decreased defense. And that ability actually hits for a decent amount as well for an A1 kind of chance to AoE. So yeah, pretty interesting champion. Before Hydra, I didn't think she really had a place in the game, honestly.
No.
As a bit of a supporting unit or a decreased defense for this faction if you didn't really have one, but it's very conditional. But yeah, in Hydra, actually pretty solid.
Yeah, I totally agree. Can have some real fun with her. I need to kind of use her a little bit more and experiment with the team around her for Hydra because I heard she can really put out some serious damage. Next up, we got Genbo the Dishonored. Man, one of my favorite arena nukers out there in the game, Hades. He's got the extra turn, the self buff. That's how the selfish ability ought to work, right?
Yeah,
on the Sword Trance. Sure. Comes back in with a Heartless Bliss and just kills everybody, right? I love it. He also has that nifty little passive there, immune to decrease attack and ignore unkillable buffs when attacking under increased attack. So great against Swift Parry, great against Leo and champions like that, Skullcrown. So overall, like one of my favorite arena guys out there.
Yeah, he's really cool. I think Stoneskin's probably pushed him down the meta a bit.
True.
Like when Swift Parry was out there and Swift Parry was the big thing, he was, top tier, honestly. What he could do was pretty nuts. And it's just kind of crept him down, but he's still, like, for most accounts, he's going to go in there and smack and do a lot of work. And he's, as you say, he's a lot of fun as well.
Absolutely. Next up, I got Taya. Taya, a secret room champion. I just built her. I haven't had a lot of time to mess around with her, but she's bringing decreased accuracy. She's bringing poisons on each hit, so a lot of them on the 3 on the A2, and then she has the instant activation on the A3. So pretty interesting champion. There's now kind of not a lot, but a few instant activators out there in the game. What do you think of Taya?
Yeah, I think Taya probably doesn't really have a place in the game yet, but I think she might actually be quite solid for this new fortress for the what was it? The twin,
the Iron Twin Fortress.
Iron Twins. That's the one. Yeah. I think
with
decreased accuracy, poison as well, and then an activate, trying to pump some damage quick. She might actually be pretty solid for that. But up until now, I've not really found a place where I'm like, yes, that's where I would build her out for.
I think it's a great call out there because you're right. We need to do like big damage, so enemy max HP or instant activators, and then having either increase resistance or decrease accuracy is going to sounds like it's going to be important as well. Finally made it through the Shadowkin. Let's keep it. Let's keep it. I know, right? Let's keep it rolling here. Grizzled Jarl.
Grizzled, yeah. So Grizzled was one of my OGs actually. I think he is really good. Like he's a really good champion, overlooked a lot, but increased defense and block debuffs on the A2. Really good for faction wars and pretty damn good in most content in the game. Decent AoE, decreased attack on the A3 as well. So yeah, good champion. Like he's not top tier, but he can kind of fit into most teams and people just don't realize it.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, and I leaned on him in the early game as well for all those reasons. So if you're looking for an increased defense champion, like him and Mausoleum Mage, Hatsu, like you can't go wrong with those champions. Cornelia. Man, I love Cornelia. She's really fast. She's really, really cool. Unique, which is what we look for in new champions, right? They're adding like new champions so often, and I look for ones that are, compelling. They can do something that nobody else can do, and she definitely has that covered with her Revitalizing Rest ability. It allows her to solo several different Doom Tower bosses, and then she has the AoE Sleep as well. If you don't have a champion like Kaimar and you want to kind of make up for speed differentials in the arena, you can use her there. Overall, like a really, really solid and fun champion.
Yeah, and really, like you say, unique. When she first came out and I saw this kit, I was like, I don't know what we're going to do with this champion, but someone will find something because it's so weird. But yeah, she's actually really cool. And I think YST's done some cool stuff with her, actually.
And we didn't know in the beginning that you can use that A3 on herself. It says on an ally, but when you put it on herself, it changes everything with the full heal.
On a 2-turn as well. It's a bit of a bonkers skill,
All right.
Filia.
Okay, is that how you say her name?
I don't know if I say it right. I say Filia.
Filia? I went Flyja. Or I don't know. People can roast us in the comments. All right, so she was the 4 fusion champion, right?
Yeah, so she came out. I think really she is like a spider specialist. Mm-hmm. So she's got a cool A3 here, AoE hit with a load of turn meter fill. And healing as well. And then she's got a full kind of turn meter deplete on the A2. Really, really good champion for Spider if you're struggling on it. So they give you some good turn meter mechanics going on. And she hits pretty damn hard as well. So outside of that, I don't think it's enough in her kit to kind of bring you into a ton of teams. But, any turn meter control stuff is going to be pretty useful in this game.
Totally agree. You know, Faction Wars or Spider, I would agree with you there, but cool looking champion as well.
Yeah.
I like her aesthetic. Rearguard Sergeant. I don't know, man. I might get some hate for this one, Hades, but like I feel like she's been a little power crept. Maybe not. I could have sworn her Ally Protect was on a 4-turn, but she's bringing Ally Protect on a 3-turn with continuous heal on all allies. That's solid. She has the AoE decrease attack. She has the decreased defense on the A1. You know what? I stand corrected. I feel like she's a solid champion, you know?
She is. Yeah. She's just missing a good passive. That's all she needs.
That's what she needs. That defense in all battles, you know?
Yeah, like her A3 ability is one of the best ways to get through Faction War 21. Yeah, she was
dwarves
like
before. Are hard. Yeah,
before all these legendaries were pulled into the dwarves, actually, she was like one of the go-tos.
Yeah.
Now it's been easier if you get some of these legendaries, but she's still really good for that.
Yeah, like back in our day, Hades, you had to run you had to build like 2 rear guards to get through dwarves, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Some OG viewers will know what we're talking about. Like, okay, Geo, I mean, what do we have to say about Geo, man? I mean, like...
Geo's so good. Like,
he's do you think he's
bonkers.
You can make an argument he's the best epic, or certainly like top 5 in the game, right? I think he is.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably in the most endgame teams out of any epic thing.
Yeah.
He just fits in so much and does so much work, and he's so easy to build because you don't have to build him for damage. You just build him as an absolute tank.
Absolutely.
And as long as he's got his accuracy to get his A3 away, his damage just starts to happen. He is really, really good, and he can, as I say, he plays in so much content at like a really end game level. Yeah. Probably the only place I wouldn't really use him is Arena. Outside of that, he's just bonkers. So,
absolutely agree. Yeah,
he's awesome.
Nothing else to say about Geomancer except for I recently swapped him into Reflex gear, and man, he's a monster now. Like, just I shut off the A2 and now I just have him for Hydra. Yeah,
for Hydra, that's so crazy.
Yes,
He's just throwing out that burn all over the place. Damage is just ticking in.
He's a beast, man. Rock Breaker, man. This is a little unsung hero for me. Like, he's the guy that I leaned on heavily to finish Faction Wars. Got the guaranteed provoke, and he's got the block damage chance on the passive, and he increases his defense on the A1. A very simple kit, but there's not that many like guaranteed 100% provokes on a 3-turn cooldown for epic champions out there, and he's one of them.
Yeah, and his passive is so good. I wish they'd use a passive more like this in other champs, because it's really fun, actually. I used to use him, we're going back maybe 2 years, but when Plat first came out, I did a only epics into Plat type of series, and he was one of my epics. And he was smacking people all over the place. The game was a simpler game back then. I've got to say it. But he was tons of fun. He's been probably power crept a bit in the game, in terms of epics. But he's still got some quite unique parts about his kit. So he's still a lot of fun. And for Faction War, the boss particularly, where he's hitting you for like crazy numbers. Yeah, his passive is cool. Yeah, it's really good.
Absolutely. And he's so cool looking, right? Like his helmet, his big hammers. He's a cool looking dude.
He is cool. Yeah.
Melga's
a great reviver for this faction, and not just for Faction Wars, but kind of outside of Faction Wars as well. I think the revive is so good.
Yeah.
2 allies coming up with turn meter and HP, and shielding as well, and then shields on the A2. Just a really good support unit. Not much else to say, really. Worth building if you don't have a reviver going yet.
Yeah, totally agree. Nothing else to add there except for, she does like to read on that A1. You see those 9 levels, but it's worth it. She's worth it, man. She's a really great addition to the game, to the faction. All right, we get Fodbor the Bard. Now, this dude is an AoE decreased defense option for Spirit Affinity Dwarves, which was needed. It is on a 4-turn cooldown. I think that he's, what I've seen, more relegated to just like, your random secret room where you need a debuffer or Faction Wars. Not a trash champion, but because of the 4-turn, it's tough to justify building him outside of like those areas. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, really you need that 3-turn on the drop defense now.
Yeah.
And, these champions with the 4, really they've been power crept quite heavily. And I mean, his A1's actually pretty useful for Fire Knight, but outside of that, I don't see him get a lot of play, really.
True. Okay, Runekeeper Dazdirk. I love this dude. What do you think?
Yeah, he's a cool. Like, I mean, his cleanse and his heal and his A3 is huge for like any content. You get so much content now where you're just taking tons of debuffs. So this guy's really cool, and then he's got the turn meter fill as well on the A2. He's one of these, I'd say, pretty underrated, under the radar type of guys who people just don't realize how much he's got in his kit. A leech as well. Yeah, really, really solid champ.
Yeah, he and another cleanser who we'll talk about in your side of the collab on your video. Like, I think they're two of the more underrated champs out there. Little teaser for you guys. Okay, Beard Owl Fellhammer, old school champ in the game. So he has the counterattack on his passive, and then has the counterattack on the champion at the end of his turn, which it's worded a little bit weirdly, but he brings the decreased defense and the shield to the table. Overall, I think he's like a average champion. What do you think about Beard Owl Fellhammer? I think some people love him.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. So
yeah,
he was buffed, I think. And before he was buffed, he was used. I'm pretty sure he was buffed. And I was like, is that all he's going to get? Because he still needs a bit more.
Like, what is he doing? Why do you like this guy so much?
I feel like he's pretty one-dimensional. He 100%. Has been used or can be used for a Hydra tank. Okay. So, the tank who's going to basically not get his buff stolen because he's got higher resistance. Yeah. So he's going to have that counterattack up when no one else is. So all of the I think it's Head of Mischief says, right, I'll try and steal your buffs. You put him high resistance. And by the way, he's going to come back and counterattack as well. So that's kind of like a good use, and Fire Knight as well is a good use for him. But yeah, I just feel like he's pretty average to bad.
I agree. I mean, Fire Knight is the only utility that I would even contemplate on this dude, but I would not build him even on my mini account. Gala Long Braids. Gala can smack in the arena, man.
Yeah, another one of these old school champs.
Yeah.
Like, fun champion. Like, she can go in and she could do a lot of work. She goes in and she smacks people with both the A2 and the A3. But, I mean, single target's just not where it's at for that arena, is it? She just... I wouldn't build one out nowadays. Back in the day, maybe. Nowadays, I can't see where I would use her.
I will say that it's if I'm going to build a single target nuker, I want it to be a single target nuker that has the ability to go twice in a row. Like a Rhodos, a Krutraxa, or a Gala, because she gets an extra turn if she's attacking with full HP. So if you don't have any other option, you want to put her on a team where you're like going to use Cornelia or Kymar to CC the enemy team and just pop them off one at a time, you can use her in that use case. She's very squishy, 661 base defense, but she can smack. Yeah. So if you're just looking for a, decent...
I do like the way they've built her kit around. The more damage she does, the more shielding she gets. And, that's what I kind of feel like a more damage-based offensive champion should do. It's almost like when I hit, I'm protecting myself because I don't have protection naturally in my kit.
Yep.
So I do like that. True. I just feel like, again, I feel like she's been a bit power trapped, honestly, but...
Yes. All right. We have Rugnor Goldgleam. So what do you think of Rugnor?
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much a clan boss specialist for me. Yeah. He's got leech. He's got drop defense and weaken. He's got a nice kind of shield mechanic. He's got a bit of a weird passive. Passive or his A3. Basically, he tries to kill himself. I've had him kill himself a number of times. So you just got to kind of watch out for what he's doing with his own kit. Yeah, but he does hit hard. And in the right sort of teams, normally it's unkillable style teams, he can be really, really fun and do a lot of damage. But yeah, he's you just got to watch out for this passive.
Yeah, I wonder what he'd be like maybe in a frenzy set with like losing the HP, filling the turn meter at the same time. I don't know. He's not really sacrificing enough to justify probably, but overall, like an average champion, right?
Yeah.
If that. Demitha, one of the most wanted epics, I would say, in the game, along with Man-Eater. A quintessential part of unkillable teams out there. What else is there to say about Demitha? I mean, she's
she's one of the best now. Maybe better than Man-Eater because ARS is so accessible and so easy to kind of get, and that's her kind of partner in crime. Whereas Man-Eater kind of needs another Man-Eater, or needs to be insanely quick.
Yep.
So I think she's awesome. Actually, I think she was a great addition to the game.
Same. I remember when they added it. Sometimes it just like catches you off guard. They add like a really good epic or whatever, and you're just like, wait a second. You almost do a double take. You're like, wow.
Yeah.
Game changer, So Demitha was definitely that for me. All right, dwarves are done. Let's move on to Knight's Revenant here. Starting with Crypt Witch. Cryptwitch. I always forget what she does because she's so bad.
He's useless. Right? Yeah. That's a quick one.
She's doing mostly, she's ignoring defense, but she doesn't hit that hard. Yay. Right? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Next.
I think that's it.
Pitiless one. Have you run Pitiless one?
So Pitiless one, I've never built out, but I've seen people building him out and seems extremely underwhelming.
Same.
Yeah, it feels like his A2 should do some decent work, but it doesn't really do any work. Feels like he almost needs to be deleted from the game.
Wow, dude. You were just like holding no punches back. I thought you were going to be like, hey, he needs a little buff or something. You're like, deleted! Okay, man. What did Pitiless one do to you, Hades? All right. Dude, that's pretty cool. I'll move along. But I agree. His kit is like super underwhelming, man. He's worse than like Khazar Deepheart, you know, like way worse, you know? That's a rare champion. Necro Hunter, he got a buff, didn't he?
He did get a buff, yeah. He got a buff mainly to the damage numbers, I think.
To the damage, to the multipliers. But he's still a single target kind of, he has the AoE if it's critical on the A2. I heard he actually can deal some decent damage now, but, you know, it's another damage dealer in a game with 1 million damage dealers, right?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, his A2 now does a lot of work. It does a lot of damage.
Yep.
So he becomes another high damage epic champion, which we've got a fair few of them. Again, if you pull him and he's like, you know, you're a new person to the game, then
it could be your DPS.
It could be useful. This A2 could do a lot of work, and it could be your new arena nuker. But outside of that, I don't feel like he's got much going on.
Yeah, it's so true though. It's you know, we're judging and reviewing all of these champions, but if we talk a little smack about your favorite champion, it's different. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder in this game, especially because everybody's account is in a different area of the game, right? So if Necromancer is your first epic pull, then you get yourself a really solid nuker. If you've been playing for a while, then you're just like, oh, Necro Hunter, who cares, you know? Frank, miscreated monster, dude. He's still one of the best epics out there, right?
He's really cool, yeah. I mean, he came into the game and probably was up there as like a top 3 epic, I think.
Yeah.
Especially with the A2, sort of bringing out a massive shield, helping people get through Spider.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I still think that's his best place, like going in there as Spider, bringing a big shield, allowing the rest of your team some time to do their work.
Yep. I agree.
But I see him in less stuff now. Like, there's more good epics. He used to be one of the absolute top tier. Now he probably sneaks his way into like a top 15. No, whereas he was like a top 3. That's how the game has changed.
Yep.
And I think there's more options now to do what he does. So I don't think he's like a must build anymore, but it depends on your account situation, like you just spoke about. Like, depends where you're at. If you're struggling with Spider, this dude's the first guy to build. But yeah, he's still cool, but probably not used as much as he was.
Yeah, I still love this guy, but to your point, I can't argue with you. He has been power crept a little bit. However, for Ice Golem, for Spider, I mean, Ice Golem, people have trouble keeping their team alive because he hits so fast and automatically. So that shield can really help you out. You get the minions that he can target for extra shield, you know, HP or whatever. So in the arena,
chunky self heal as well. Actually, like early to mid game arena, he's a nightmare.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah. Okay. Pharalis Gravedirt. This is an interesting guy.
I mean, this guy's useless, right?
Well, here's the thing about him. I will say the only thing he's got going for him is his A3. Does it justify 6-starring him? Probably not. But he's one of the only epic champions in the game that has a strengthen on a 3-turn cooldown, albeit the weak version. But if you're just missing strengthen, you don't have a good strengthen champion, and you need somebody, well, Pharalis has got you covered. Other than that, he's like super, what are you trying to do with this guy, you know?
Yeah, I mean, what's going on with like candles on your shoulders, man? What's the deal?
Yeah, he's really
got the deal with that.
He's like the candle from Beauty and the Beast or something going on there. I don't know, man. He's all right, cool. All right, Sinesha.
Sinesha's a cool champion. Here we go. Yeah. Now we got someone.
She's someone who hasn't been power crept, you know, an old school champion who hasn't really been power crept that much.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she's got actually a really cool heal on her A3, which don't really, maybe they don't understand or they don't really fully get it, but it's similar to Walking Tomb Drang, who's just come out as a legendary champion. It's the same type of quality of heal. So basically, she's just like balancing everyone's health pools, but feels to me like she just heals everyone to full.
It's almost like a complete heal. Yeah, whenever you see this ability, there's probably, like, to your point, 3 or 4 champions that have them, maybe more than that. But like that should just say completely heals everybody, or very close to, you know?
Yeah.
So
I've got you. It's still, I mean, the only thing with that is it's on a 5-turn, which I guess she's an epic. And the rest of her kit is also good. And she puts steals and cooldown on the A2 with another heal. She's got this big hit on the A1. People don't realize because her attack is low, they think, oh, she can't do any damage. She hits, like if you build her with high attack, she will smack people. She's one of the best champions to go into like an old school blender arena team. Her and a sister. They will do some work, but I guess they're less popular. But again, still, for a lot of people coming up through the game, if you can build one, damn, they do a lot of damage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really consistent. Yeah, I really like her.
Same. Doom Priest, I mean, it's all about that passive, right? You got the heal, you got the cleanse. It's still one of the better passives and most used champions out there in the game. Even another kind of old school champion who still gets a lot of run in the game.
Nothing really almost the more content that's been added, the more people use Doom Priest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Back in the day, she used to just be the clan boss stand-in if you got a different affinity. And it'd be like, oh, it's cool. Doom Priest sits in there and cleans it all off. Nowadays, it's like, most Doom Tower bosses, she comes in, like she's probably going to come into this new boss as well. Hydra, she's pretty useful. Like she's just coming in there, cleaning off those debuffs. Yeah, she's decent.
It. Just gets the job done. All right, Sepulchre Sentinel.
Yeah, I mean, for me, she used to be one of the go-tos for a non-unkillable clan boss team. Outside of clan boss, probably not used as much, albeit her A2 with the block debuffs and increased defense. Really good for faction wars, really good to help you through that stuff. And the passive is, again, pretty unique. You know, someone's potentially not going to take any damage in a turn.
Yeah.
Which is really fun as well. But I see her used less than she used to be. Still good for those kind of roles. You know, decreased attack on your A1 is still going to be good for clan boss if you're not running an unkillable team. She's one of the best at it. But yeah, I think people push so hard for unkillable teams now. There's more champions that let you do it. Yeah, I think we just see less and less of them. Yeah,
after Helikath too, like, you know, Demitha and Helikath, it's like, almost everybody's trying to run unkillables, and that's kind of boxed out some of these champions, like Sepulchre Sentinel. And to your point earlier, it's a 4-turn cooldown on the increased defense and the block debuffs. We're really looking for 3 turns. However, with all that said, I mean, she's still a great support champion. I actually built her on my my mini account, and she's carrying me through dungeons and stuff, so I really like the champion, but maybe not as widely used as she used to be. Rector Droth. I love Rector Droth, Hades. I remember that when I did a guide on her, I called her a guy the entire... Have you ever done that? Have you ever gotten a gender issue on any of your videos?
Oh, yeah, I've done that plenty of times, yeah.
So, anyway, I'll never forget that. Every time I look at her, I'm like, oops. I mean, a fast reviver. She's throwing out heals on the passive. She's throwing out perfect veils, continuous heals, decreased attack on the A1. Really, one of my... I put her and Ursula the Mourner and Godseeker and Eerie in their own category of just OP revivers, best in the epic category, in my opinion.
Yeah, she's one of the best healers in the game as well.
Yeah.
I think. Just, you know, that passive heal kicking in is really good. Her A2 is really good. And when you pair it with the revive as well, again, one of these champions that just gets more and more use as more content drops.
Yep.
Yeah, really, really solid.
All right, Tylesia.
I like Tylesia, actually. Really fun champ.
Yeah,
I was probably a bit underwhelmed when she first came out, and you know, just looking at a kit. But when you start to play around with her, she's really strong. 2 big AoE hits. They do good damage. She's got the decreased defense, which doesn't need to be booked to actually land it. Which is really rare in the game. I think there might be like one other legendary, maybe one other epic that have got that, where you don't actually need to book it to get the percentage up to 100%.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And then
I
the
didn't realize
passive.
that.
Yeah, the passive is good as well. If you now that Hex is better, so chance to place a Hex as well just means that everyone else is doing slightly more damage.
Yeah.
Really fun champ. I like her. And I think the debuff spread is good on the A1. Perhaps a little bit situational, but you can make it work.
Yep.
So
I completely agree. A lot of damage, debuffer, and the debuff extension, and one of the most reliable Hex placers in the game because of that passive. So totally agree with you. Lady Erish. I think she's an all right champion. She does have the self buff, increased crit damage, increased crit rate, and then she goes right into her AoE, which deals decent damage on Blur of Knives. We also have another 20% chance of getting extra turns, so she can really take 3 turns in a row, which is pretty cool. Other than that, though, again, we talked about this. We're probably going to mention it again, too. It's like another DPS champion, another damage dealer. And if you have one, you kind of have enough of each affinity. So I'm not overwhelmed by her, but she's not like trash. What about you?
Yeah, I think the same. I think there's a few others in this faction as well, which are just hard hitters. So unless you're unlucky and you don't really pull anyone better, I think she probably just falls to the wayside a bit. But yeah, for me, pretty average.
Deathless. Are you a Deathless fan? You must.
I think I like the idea of Deathless.
Yeah. Me too.
So I mean, the A3 attacks all enemies. Does a lot of work if your team are dead.
Yes.
Right. So, and it's a fun mechanic. Yeah, it's a fun. I'm sure as a content creator, fun champions. I love stuff like this. Yeah. Because you're like, cool. We could do something silly, something a bit different. But really, you don't want your team to be dead.
No. The setup is just too costly, man.
Yeah. So
you can have fun with her.
I don't feel like she gets much playtime or fits into many teams. But interest. I mean, I like they add champions like this because now and then you actually find a really good use for one. Yeah. Not perhaps Deathless, but for others I've seen used, which I never would have believed they could be, and perhaps we'll come on to it a bit later. But Deathless for me, not sure. What do you think?
I am the same boat, exactly. Like, I built her, I had fun with her, and but when the setup requires killing everybody on your team, to your point, it's just like outside of some niche arena fun, like, where are you really using Deathless, I don't know. Maybe some people would disagree with us in the comments. You can let us know. Kytus is kind of the same for me, although I will say that Kytus probably gets a little bit more love than Deathless does right now, like in one of those maybe Cardinal teams or something like that. So outside of a Cardinal team where she's reviving him with little HP, I think it's 30%, and then he's dealing, coming in with bleeding wounds immediately. He's kind of a niche champion, but kind of fun too. Same thing with Deathless.
Yeah, well, the funny thing with him is, I mean, he hits like a Trunder when he's got this activated secret skill on his A3, and obviously, like, you want to hit like a Trunder, because Trunder hits really, really hard. Sure. So if only he had, I mean, I guess he'd be OP if he did. If he had a built-in mechanic to allow him just to live without a card
unkillable,
something like that. I mean, maybe it'd be too OP, probably would, but
probably, but. Yeah, I don't think it would be too OP. I think it would just like change the dynamics of like you'd have to plan for Kytus teams, But I agree with you though. It's like it's a fun champion, but it's tough to just run him all the time,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Bergolf the Malformed. I'm not a big fan of this guy. What about you?
He came out as pretty much a freebie, didn't he? He came out as a very, very easy to get fragment collector or fusion or something, where basically all you had to do was wake up in the morning and you got him.
And you got him. It's like, hey, waste your books on this crappy champion, everybody.
I mean, he's got a provoke. That's about all I can say about the dude.
On a 4-turn cooldown, he's got a non-100% chance to land a provoke. There you go. This canister, I remember initially we were like, okay, this could be really, really big. And then Vogoth came out and it's like, okay, get out of here.
Yeah, he's a very, very weak version of a Vogoth. And
very weak. Yeah. Yep.
Like, but not to the point where he can step in. That's the trouble. Yeah. If he could step in, then it'd be like, he's a weaker version, but he's doing a job. Actually, he doesn't do it well enough to keep people alive. So, yeah.
All right. Next up is Pestilence, a champion that I actually have not built myself, but I think he's a decent looking kid. He's got increased accuracy and crit damage, 2 abilities on a 3-turn cooldown that are kind of hard to find, I guess, especially together. Yeah. And then we have the burn, we have the heal, we have the leech as well on the A1. So not too bad.
I think overall, a good like faction war champion style of champ. Yeah. Probably doesn't get into a lot of main tier teams, but increased accuracy now is probably more and more sought after for some high level Doom Tower type of stuff. And the burns are just generally good for end game type of content. So pretty much, like, I think a solid epic actually, just not used a ton.
Yeah, I mean, you could sub this dude in, and you could run him as even an aura lead against any Force Affinity or most Force Affinity Doom Tower bosses. You know, got the heal, got the turn meter if the HP burn is resisted or not placed. Not bad.
Yeah.
All right, Faceless.
Faceless.
He's the king of the single target nukers for me in epic rarity. You know.
Yeah. I always had a problem with this guy because it's like, show us your face. And, but yeah, I mean, he just does so much damage.
Yeah, that helmet doesn't come off, man. Yeah.
No, that's it. He does a ton of damage.
He does.
Ignores shields, ignores block damage, ignores defense. Like his A3 will kill anybody in the game, and he's obviously void affinity.
Yeah.
But there's not much content in the game where you just want to kill one person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's hard to find a use case for him, but to your point, he's like my favorite single target nuker, but that's not saying much out of the epic category, you know?
Yeah.
Skullcrown, we talked about her sister in Sinesha. Skullcrown has 2 strong AoE attacks. She's known for unkillable in the arena. She has the revive as Sinesha's on the same team, and she's got the speed in arena battles. She's an old school void nuker in the game, or control champion. Another favorite of Blender comps, to your point on Sinesha.
Yeah.
Just a really, really good champion. A lot of versatility for a champion who on first glance is just a nuker, especially if you put her in a stun, can really help you out progression there.
Damage. I mean, the passive is so good for arena, especially if you're like mid game.
Yeah,
you're struggling to get through some of those ranks. Just guaranteeing that you're going to get hit away is huge, because often in the mid game you'll just need one hit to kill everybody. Yep. So if you build her right, she'll just nuke down whole enemy team. Really, still a good epic. I think still good, even though she was one of the original voids.
Yep. Yeah, totally agree. Golden Reaper, I think maybe a little bit underrated for an epic champion. Very fast, 111 base speed, increased speed, and turn meter boost by 20%. So a little bit better than Apothecary. She should be. She's a void epic after all. And then she's bringing like the AoE decrease attack too.
Yeah, I mean, she brings a lot to a kit. I don't see her played a lot, which is weird.
Yeah.
I guess it's because you pick up eventually your Arbiter, who maybe just does similar type of stuff but a bit better, or is better in that kind of role for your team. But to your point, better than Apothecary, probably different but probably better than a High Katoon. But yeah, weirdly, I guess because people get those 2 champions probably a lot before they would get a Golden Reaper, she doesn't often get played out. I would say for this faction, for faction wars, if you've got her, then that speed coming in and keeping your team moving quickly is going to help you a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, totally agree. I think that she's a pretty cool champion. She's a pretty cool champ overall. I think that giving her a speed aura, if they're ever going to buff her, even if it was not like a super OP one, it would make her a lot more, give her like the 19%, like a, I think that'd be
either
really
an all battles or a good
Yeah.
speed aura for arena. You know, like 23. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Whisper. Are you a Whisper fan?
So I'm not, but I know plenty of people that are really.
Yeah.
This is really like a Marmite type of champion. I think you either love this champion or you don't. And Saf from HH Gaming really loves Whisper. And I've been seeing like Nub Raids doing a load of work with Whisper, saying OP for Hydra, going to be OP for the new boss. She does hit really hard, right? She hits hard. She's very selfish with what she does.
Yep.
And she needs a fair bit of setup. I used to like her more when you could stack extra turns with Relentless Gear, which you can't do anymore. So you used to be able to just kind of like stack this whole flurry of extra turns, and she'd be going like an absolute lunatic. But yeah, nowadays she'll do a few extra hits. She does hit hard. I don't know. What do you think, man? Do you use her much?
Yeah, I don't use her much. No, she does deal a lot of damage, though. Getting that extra turn, provided again the setup is there with decreased defense and weekend on the A3, and she can just be like the Energizer Bunny, going again and again and again, hitting hard. All of her multipliers are good, but I don't know. I think give me a Boro over her. With the AoE on the A1. All right, those are the Knights Revenant. Moving along here to Dark Elves. All right, Captain Tamila. Nobody loves Captain Tamila. I kind of like her though. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. I feel like her kit needs more.
Okay, she's bringing increased defense and a heal on a 3-turn, my friend, and then she has the Ally Protect on a 4-turn.
This is the skill that upsets me.
Okay,
the
why?
Ally Protect.
Yeah.
on a 3-turn, goes on for 2 turns with nothing else.
Yeah, you want like a shield on herself or something?
I want something else. Yeah, like
something to keep her alive.
Most other epics doing this skill will bring you something else. Like if we compare that to the Taradi the Frog earlier, he's doing like a shield, reflect damage. He's like, taking everyone out for a coffee, and she's just like, yeah, I haven't got anything else to offer, I'm afraid, and it's on a 4.
Well, we'll agree to disagree. I mean, listen, I'm not saying she's the best support in the game, but increased defense and ally protect and the heal, not too bad, based on her HP. So you build her with a lot of HP, you get a decent heal too on the A2. Caden, I know you like Caden a lot more than Captain Tamila, right?
Yeah, Caden's cool. So Caden, defensive champions are easy to build.
Mm-hmm.
Got a very hit and miss type of A1 provoked, which can be almost a bit clutch if you need it in Faction Wars or in Hydra. But mainly I like him for AoE decrease attack, can be 100%, and the revive. The revive is a solid one. Plus, he actually hits hard. Like his A2 smacks for a defensive champion as well. So not only is he bringing some utility there, a revive, he's also bringing a decent amount of damage as well. So I do like this champ.
Yeah, I love when they added him. I was super happy that they added the a reviver, a 2 reviver on a 4-turn with the increased defense. Just nice job keeping them alive, after they're revived. So
they really come back with half health, but they're like, well, you've got a bit of a buff as well.
Exactly. All right, Dark Kale. One of the better epics out there in the game. Part of a lot of my main teams with the instant activation on the A1 for dungeons, Do you like Dark Kale?
Yeah, he's awesome. Like, he's such a good epic.
Right.
He's basically a legendary.
He's a legendary. Yeah. He really is.
Yeah. So I don't do to my... Oh, it's terrible. I don't do Doom Tower.
Yeah, what
often.
the heck?
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know why. I miss Doom Tower some days. I'm like, I make sure I get my hard done. But so I have not got him yet, and I wish I could just choose him as my next one.
How far behind are you? Who are you on right now?
I'm coming up to Rian the Conjurer. So.
Oh no!
Yeah, I'm a way back.
No!
Maybe he's only a couple of champions away, but still, that's like a few months if I actually remember to do it. So.
I know, right? Okay. I've missed some normal difficulty secret rooms too, but I think it was when they announced Dark Kale was coming, or maybe it was the one before that. I was like, okay, I better start doing it every day, So I'm lucky. Yeah. I'm lucky enough to have him. Really, really, really good champion. Gwenev, okay, another one. So Gwenev has an AoE on the A1. She's got a before attacking, placing a weaken, and then a heal. And then on the A3, she's transferring all debuffs from this champion to an enemy, then attacking, then ignoring defense for each debuff they're under. I have not built Gwenev, so I really can't speak too much to her, but she seems like a pretty solid champ.
Yeah, I think so. Again, I'm nowhere near her.
Yes. But she seems cool.
Yeah, she hits really hard. She hits hard.
Okay, I'm going to build
I think her A3 is very cool, in terms of ignoring defense, throwing debuffs back at an enemy. It's actually a really good A3 ability for like a single target hit.
I've been holding off on doing guides on these epics for the exact same reason, these Doom Tower epics, the exact same reason that you don't have her. I think that, let us know, guys. Do any of you guys have Gwenev, Taya? Let us know where you are. Who are you going for in Doom Tower right now? All right. Spider.
Yeah, I actually had someone message me and say content creators overrate Spider.
Ooh.
And I'm like, dude, it feels pretty solid. He's got a AoE drop defense and small version weaken. I get it's small version, but it's placing the decreased defense, so you're not going to have a weak hit. Can't have a weak hit against an affinity with that. He's got an AoE decrease attack. As a setup for Spider, I think he's one of the best champions not in the game, but one of the best epics out there.
Yeah,
that can kind of just do it without needing a whole load more stuff, giving you speed in dungeon aura as well. I think he's solid, but his letdown is it's on a 5-turn. So if you want to run him in content where you're kind of going wave to wave to wave, the chances of you having your drop defense and waiting for the next wave is really low, and that's kind of where he lets himself down, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. He can be great Spider setup, no pun intended, and he can be a great arena setup champion too, because you only need it one time. You only need him to come in. If you can build him fast enough. He's a little slow at 91, but I agree. Ryan the Conjurer. You'll have her soon, Hades.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your experience of
I love Ryan the Conjurer. I love this champion. A lot of people compare her, I don't know if unfairly is the word, but to Madame Ceres, because she has the removing all buffs from all enemies. She's placing the big version of Weaken after she's removing all those buffs. But then she's reviving as well. So it's not the best revive out there, but it is a 4-turn cooldown. And I put her in Stone Skin on a Go Second team. And she can be my buff remover, and then she can stay alive long enough to revive if I lose anybody else. So I think that she has a little bit more maybe versatility as opposed to a Madame Ceres, even though Madame Ceres is still like the queen of arena debuffers, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I agree. From what I've seen, that's kind of a main function. And actually, a lot of people just like the fact that it's a weaken out there, instead of decreased defense. A lot of like higher level arena players now are going high HP, not so much high defense. So Weaken is giving them a good boost of damage. Do you ever run her with Akoth and Euros and get this kind of like additional benefit?
Here's the crazy thing, right? Is I was gonna do a video on that. I was like, this would be a great video, you know? And then the team sucked, man. Like it was just like they don't really fit together that well outside of this, you know? So yeah, man, I actually canned the video halfway through. I'm like, dude, like this team is just like, you know, it's like they can stay alive because they're all like tanky and stuff, but that's about it, you know?
Yeah, nothing, no sort of wow factor.
Yeah, not really. All right, Therask. Have you built Therask?
I have not.
Okay.
Cool looking champ though, right?
Yeah.
Kind of glowing bow. I like it.
She does look really, really cool. I haven't built her either, but she does have an AoE decreased resistance, albeit on a 4-turn cooldown. I would love to have this 100%, you know, 100% decreased resistance if it's going to be on a 4-turn, you know?
Yeah, my biggest problem with this is if you're going to have someone who does a decreased resistance, I don't feel like you should need accuracy to do it. So otherwise, it's almost what's the point? So if this was true, right? Cannot be resisted, this skill cannot be resisted, then all of a sudden I think you've got a champion that comes in and brings you something in a different way to just bring in someone like a Madame. Because ultimately, what you're doing here, you're just saying, well, I'm decreasing resistance. I might as well bring someone in who's going to increase my accuracy and give me turn me to boost like a Yoshi or someone, someone who's going to do a bit more. I feel like they missed the boat a bit with this champion, and I don't know, maybe it should be used. I don't know if she's used anyone. Does anyone use her? Let us know.
Yeah, let us know, guys. I agree with you though. I would love that 100% or it can't be blocked or something, or a 3-turn cooldown, you know. I do know she can hit pretty hard. I think she has really good multipliers. So there's that at least. All right, we have a champion that nobody has. It's Krakarth. So what is she? What was he? She. What does she do? Revive on death on the A2, strengthen and a shield, but on a 4-turn cooldown. I don't know. Yeah. All right, I guess.
I think there's pretty underwhelming considering the length of time to get this champion. But I think the passive was going to be people were quite interested with this passive.
Yes. Yes.
Because there's not really champions in the game that can do this, just Brogni, I think. So, increasing shield value is quite an interesting thing to be able to do. But, outside of that, I think the kit's pretty underwhelming,
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if she finds a spot maybe in that world record clan boss Infinity Shield team or something. I don't know. I don't know if she brings enough to the table.
I just don't think she brings enough to do it, unfortunately. But, I think give this passive to someone else.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, next up is Luria. Have you played a lot of Luria?
Yeah, so Luria, I think, is an interesting champion. She doesn't do tons of damage. She does an okay amount of damage on a A2, and she's got a block revive. So if you're kind of working your way up through the Ice Golem, you're trying to kill those side adds, she'll be pretty good. I actually used her a fair bit on early Bommel, so on one of my free-to-play accounts. So to freeze those side bombs, still give me a chance to freeze the side bombs, and then at least I'm taking less damage from those. Plus, she brings a couple of pretty useful debuffs on her A1. Specifically for Bommel, she was actually bringing block buffs as well, so she was blocking the increased attack buff that he brings out. So outside of that, she can do a bit in, as I say, Ice Golem. But pretty underwhelming, I think, outside of that.
Yeah, I think she's all right. Crimson Helm. So Kristen Helm is another one of those champions that you can probably scale beyond her, upgrade her. She doesn't scale very well to the end game, is what I'm trying to say. But not an awful kit. She has a lot of defense for an epic 1531 base defense. She has Revive on Death and increased defense on a 4-turn. And then she has a 4-time Provoke. So again, like early game, a decreased attack on the A1 too. Early game, good support champion. I used her on my free-to-play in the early game. But then, again, I kind of outgrew her pretty quick, too.
Yeah, I think the faction was the A2 is actually really good. Mm-hmm. A really high chance to land Provoke, albeit it's at random. If that was just an AoE,
I know.
And that would be a good skill. But putting block damage on her while she's provoking is pretty damn useful to try and keep the rest of your team alive. There's also... I've never built this out, but a fair few people built it to do solo bommel stuff, albeit it takes forever. She's got this Revive on Death. She basically keeps popping back up when she's going down, and you're just relying on her like War Master hits to do damage. But yeah, it's very manual, I believe, or if it's not manual, it just takes forever. So if you're up for it.
I'll try it out. Maybe someday when I have a couple hours to kill, right?
You'll need at least 2 or 3.
We get Warden. He's an old school champion in the game. He's bringing decreased attack, increased defense, small versions. He's got reflect damage, good for Fire Knight, 3-turn cooldown. Kind of a weird champion that his damage scales on attack and defense on a defense-based champion. And I've always known this guy to need like 1 million books, like a lot of books on this guy. And they're necessary too because they're cooldowns, So I don't think he's worth the books, frankly.
No, I think he badly needs to go on that buff list.
Yeah.
Pretty weak.
All right, Delver. Another kind of underwhelming champion, in my opinion. An AoE 4-turn cooldown.
Yeah. Again, the damage is okay, but not crazy. And just needs... I feel like there's a lot of epics in here, and those are 2 that probably just need to go onto that buff list. I think maybe the next champion might fit in that same list.
Fang Cleric. I will say that, hey, there's not that many revivers out there, right?
Yeah, that's it.
If you need one, revive. Yeah, if you need one, he's got the unkillable and continuous heal on them on a 4-turn cooldown. So not awful. He also has a decent heal on a 2-turn cooldown on the A2, granted single target. So and he's fast at 105 base speed. So I don't think he's like a trash champion, but again, he's not the best reviver
basically
out there, right?
It's like your faction war filler type of champion try and help you get those 3 stars. And for that, he actually does an okay job. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't 6-star the guy. I feel like you could just do that at level 50. Perhaps wouldn't take him up any further than that. And then he's half decent.
Absolutely. All right. Next up is going to be Visionary. Very cool champion. What do you think of Visionary?
Yeah, I like Visionary, actually. I think
same.
Turn Meat to Feel on the A3 with good buffs as well. So it can kind of pair up nice with a Seer type team, or just generally buff your team into high damage whilst also giving them a Turn Me to Feel. Gives you quite a cool, it's arena start. Turn Me to Feel plus buffing damage, so your nukers are getting ready to do the job. AoE on the A2 as well with some okay debuffs. Yeah, I feel like a decent champion actually, with a good speed aura for dungeons, good base stats. Yeah, decent epic.
Yeah, I totally agree. She's unique in the sense that she has decreased crit rate, decreased crit damage, increased crit rate, increased crit damage.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. Okay, Lua has the AoE triple hitter with heals on the A2, and then she has the Lucky Shot. Deals some solid damage, decreased target's turn meter by 100%. It's kind of reminiscent of the Coltar ability, minus all that damage, but still, it's still a good ability though, right? So, and she has the 50% inflicted damage to all enemies on the A1. So good for Spider, especially lower levels of Spider, and outside of that, I guess anywhere that you want 100% turn meter depletion, right?
Yeah, and I think the A2 actually does a lot of damage. The A2 can hit hard. So I ran back in the day in big Fire Knight type teams where I was just blowing up the waves with her and then using the kind of Turn Me to drop on the boss. There's better champions in the game that do it, but she doesn't do a bad job of it.
Yeah. All right, Silar. the queen of control. I really love Silar. I mentioned this before on the channel, but she's a champion that I built like semi-recently in the last year. So I was late to the Silar party, and I'm like, dude, she actually is really, really good. She's got the AoE, 100% decrease accuracy, another AoE on the A1, and then she's got this great leaden legs control ability with decreased speed and turn meter, like the queen of control in Spider, or really anywhere else, you know? So fantastic champion.
Also really good for Doom Tower waves. Like if you're struggling to get through waves, throwing a stun set as well maybe, and she's throwing stuns out with the A1 and the A2 whilst also doing a ton of control in terms of speed and turn meter on the A3. Just gives you so much more time to try and actually beat up those higher level waves.
Absolutely. Yeah, very, very, very good control champion. Madame Ceres, we already talked about her a little bit, but anything to add on Madame Ceres?
I just think it's all about her A3. She's so good. Like her A3 is so strong. Cleaning all the buffs off the enemies whilst putting decreased attack and decreased defense. So, you know, building your damage whilst also reducing their damage. It's such a good ability on a 4-turn. She's also got a reasonable like A1 and A2. It's not like her A1 and A2 are weak. You know, the A2 can kind of steal buffs away as well and put block debuffs on your team. The passive's got a good chance to throw a fear out as well. So she's just a nasty arena champion. That's what she is. She can come in and do some stuff in other content as well, but mainly a really, really solid arena champ.
Yeah, it's so funny that they tried to nerf her just by boosting the cooldown of the A3, which I guess it did in PvE content, but she's known for PvP, you know? She's known for the arena. Man, that was a really good Halloween, Hades, when we got her and Miscreated Monster and Harvest Jack.
Brachus as well.
And Brachus? I think. Okay, that is the Dark Elves. Moving right along here, Undead Horde. All right, Gorgorab.
Yeah. I've actually got him on my free-to-play recently, and you know, he's coming in as a kind of like all-team reviver with the A3 with a heal. He's got a nice turn meter fill with increased attack. He's kind of like a mini Arbiter, really. So before you get your Arbiter, if you pick him up early enough, then you've got a good arena speed aura, you've got your turn meter fill, you've got increased attack. Everything's setting yourself up to do some damage. And if it goes wrong, you know, building a little bit tanky and you try and pick people up again and go again. So, you know, for Faction Wars, awesome. Arena, really good. And most content early to mid-game is going to be pretty damn solid.
Totally agree. Good comparison. He's like kind of the Arbiter Junior there.
Yeah.
All right, Seeker. I mean, especially with Bat Eater comps being a thing, you know, the last couple years, Seeker sees a lot of love. You can be on a go first team, a go second team in the arena. You can be your booster, similar to Gorgorab. He can be on a go second team because of that awesome passive where he's placing increased defense on all allies. What a versatile champion. What a great champion overall. So just one of the better epics out there in the game.
Yeah, and funny, like it kind of proves that kits don't have to be really complicated to be a good champion. Because actually, his kits as basic as they come, but yet he's really, like you say, versatile in big clan boss teams. He's in really solid arena defense teams, arena offense teams, and even you wouldn't believe it, but even comes in really clutch in some faction war fights where he just like, please land your provoke with that A1.
Yeah.
And you know, he like chalks up a Valk or something with the A1. You're like that, yes.
Yep. Yeah, there's been so many.
Really
I used to run him on as my speed booster in the arena, like for a good year or so, you know. And same thing. Like so many times, I get that extra turn from the A2 and come in with the A1 and be like, "Who do I want to provoke from the enemy team?" You know. So really solid. Catacomb Counselor. Talk about a dude who's been power crept. He was like our only option for an ally attack, or one of the only. It was a couple of them, but before like Ferric and the Fat and stuff like that was introduced to the game, this is what we had: Army of Death. That's it. A 3 ally attack on a 4-turn cooldown. I think he needs a buff. I think he's pretty underwhelming now.
Yeah, and he used to be good. This is like you say, like he used to be the go-to. If you didn't have that big legendary champion like a Longbeard, it was like, have you got a Catacomb? Like he will up your damage in clan boss. Nowadays, it's just, he's just fodder, really. As you say, badly needs to be kind of lifted up to the level of the other epics that have got this type of ability. Like, his other skills are pretty useless. Yeah, he is underwhelming nowadays.
Absolutely. Dark Aethel. 2 types of people in this world, Hades. People who like Dark Aethel, people who hate her. I'm in the latter camp. What about you?
Same, yeah. Like the whole kit was built around, this is going to be a cool spider champion.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, there's just too much. Like needs to attack 10 enemies to get the extra turn. Come on, like
I know. Come on, dude. Like
make it 5 or something like.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's just way too much to get any real utility out of it. And then I guess the A2 now, if they buff that to 100% chance of a decreased speed out there, you might say, well, starts to get a bit of Hydra use, but at 75 when the rest of the kit's so underwhelming, it's just like, come on, needs more.
That's my thing. Is like if this is 100% or on a 3-turn cooldown, maybe. But now, I mean, now they come out with champions who have decreased speeds, dependable rates on their A1 on AoEs, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like Dark Helheim, though, I'm a big fan of. Have you built her? Last time we had you on the channel, you had not built her. Have you built her?
Yeah, I got myself a Dark Helheim.
Yeah!
I've actually, I went for like a really slow Dark Helheim and just used her as like an anti-Torment.
And attack percentage on the boots?
Yeah. Lots of fun. Cool, kind of like anti... I guess it's probably like a proper a champion in the game. Dark Helheim, and also really cool for just coming at some of those Doom Tower waves. So yeah, I have been converted. Does a lot of damage on that A2.
Yeah, she's fun. She's unique. She's a little bit niche, but she's very effective at what she does. You can run her in like Ice Golem, and I'm not sure if you have, but like sometimes she can just be popping up, boom, 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 Death Majesty because of all those freezes. Husk, I mean, we don't have to spend too long talking about this guy, but talk about a champion who went from kind of, I wouldn't say 0 to hero because he was never really a 0, but a slept-on enemy max HP champion. And now with Hydra, I feel like if you have him, you probably run him on one of your teams, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And also now that Provoke is a thing in Hydra, it just brings a bit more as well. So yeah, I mean, he always had this kind of AoE stun. So he was always good for a spider fight, perhaps, with the AoE stun chance with the enemy max HP. But yeah, as you say, just kind of rose in power with Hydra and, you know, the need for those enemy max HP hitters.
Absolutely. All right, next up we have Carom. Carom. Okay. So this is a dude who this is another dude who's been kind of power crept, I think, you know, with a away.
Yeah.
What do you think?
The funny thing with this guy is he might actually end up being insane for this new boss. Because he's got the poison explosion, and there's nothing that's been said yet to say that poison explosion is going to be a weak amount of damage, albeit they don't seem to like this type of mechanic going into the higher level stuff. But yeah, I mean, he hits harder than anyone else with this ability. But it's all single target, so you know you don't really get him into teams. But if you can get him onto a boss, he can do some work.
Yep.
It's just there's not really any content that suits him in the game anymore.
Yeah, I totally agree. It would be interesting. It's a good point on the Iron Twins or whatever. Will be interesting to see. You know,
I don't know if you did. You see the Deadwoods competition where we've done up against different bosses.
No.
So basically, I was up against Scratch in Spider, and he pulled out the most. And he did only use Undead Horde champions.
Okay.
He pulled out one of the most unique Spider teams I've ever seen.
Okay.
With like an enemy max HP hit came in, and then it was like a load of poisons went out. Then Carom blew him up. And I was just like, damn. That was really cool. Like it was cool. It was a really cool, really like awesome team. Yeah, but
I love that. Did he win? Niche. Did he win with it?
He didn't actually. No, I believe just started smacking the spider with Armager and won.
But it's still a cool. It's still probably the best you could do in Undead Horde. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Lich is a champion that is meh. I mean, he's got the increased defense on himself, a heal on himself, and then attack one enemy. I mean, he does have the turn meter reduction and a decreased speed. That A3 is not that bad, but it's not enough that's all he brings to the table, you know, for the most part.
Yeah, it's actually on a 3-turn. Like against bosses like a spider or against factional bosses, that's pretty useful.
Yeah.
The trouble is there's not enough in his kit to really say, get this guy built out.
Yeah. Okay, agreed. Yeah. Hexia. Another champion who's pretty underwhelming, very squishy, conditional extra turns, hate that stuff. But every ability essentially is just attacking one enemy, you know? Maybe a little bit of heal, maybe a conditional increase attack or whatever. I mean, that's it, you know?
She's actually kind of similar. You're probably not going to like this.
Uh-oh.
I feel like she's kind of similar to a Gala Longbraids.
No, Hades. Does she hit as hard? Does she hit?
Yeah, she hits. Okay. She hits like a Rotus hits.
Okay.
In terms of damage, so she does hit hard, and she's got this A2 gets an extra turn if she kills someone. So she goes A2 into the A3, and she can take out 2 people, but she doesn't block revive, and she doesn't guarantee anything else. So at that point, there's no shielding or anything. So really, once you've killed 2 people, you're probably going to be dead. But
interesting.
She's not terrible, but she doesn't really fit the game.
Okay. I like that though. Now I'm contractually I have to like her because you compared her to Galalombre. So I really like Hexia. Hades, great chariot. Defiled Sinner. Overall, I mean, I don't know, just an average nuker, really.
Yeah, pretty weak. Like the enemy max HP, you'd think, damn, this is good on an AOE. Is it AoE? Attacks, AoE hit, but it's just so weak compared to all the rest of them. Like,
the second hit can't be critical. It's like, man.
Yeah. Weak,
all right.
Weak champion, I think.
Weak. Corpse Collector, another weak champion, at least in my opinion. We do have, though, a heal reduction and decreased accuracy on a 3-turn. 100% land rate. That's not bad. And then a 3-time at random, each hit with a poison, 100%. Maybe she's not that trash of a champion.
I think she's one of these like under the radar champions that can do some stuff. Like she does have leech, she's got poison. Decreased accuracy is not a bad debuff nowadays.
No.
So often just overlooked. And again, I feel like maybe single target stuff being the way to go for this new boss could come in with poisons, leech, and decreased accuracy for that new boss.
Yeah.
Can be used a bit for clan boss with poison and leech, but again, like generally there feels like there's always someone you'd rather build. That's my view. Yeah,
exactly. I never get excited when I pull a Corpse Collector. However, you could do worse, but you could do a lot better too, right? Speaking of better, Mausoleum Mage, man, we both love this dude.
Yeah, I mean he was one of my kind of OGs to build out. Back in the day, it was just kind of like crazy good buffs on the A2. Does have a decreased speed on the A1 if you put some accuracy into his kit, and then he's got this kind of cleanse and heal on the A3 with a turn meter fill as well. Like, so this is the type of champion, like so much going on in his kit, you can't really rule him out of teams. Really good champ.
Yeah, he's a champion that you like. One of the best epics. I think that was the first video. I think I probably mentioned this before to you, but I think that's the first video I've seen on your channel. Is you with like. I forgot what it was, but like the most underrated. This is Black because nobody spoke about him. Like you were just like, I love this guy, and I must have just started playing because I was like, I don't even get it. Why is he so good? And now I look at him, I'm like, it's obvious. He's cleansing, he's healing, he's increasing. Like he's bringing so much. So Zelata, man, what a trash champ, man. What a trash champ.
Again, like he's got AOE control, but his sleep, which is the worst.
Sleep, AOE sleep.
Control.
Yeah.
He needs to go for a sleep. Like, what's going on with this guy? Needs a buff.
Okay, I agree. Next up is Vogoth, one of the better epics out there. We talked a little bit about it when we talked about what's-his-face for Gotham Malformed. But this is how you build the healing passive, right, in the Festering Dynamo. Yeah. I mean, you're going to use this guy everywhere against so many bosses, Bommel, Nether Spider, obviously, and a go second team in the arena, too,
Yeah, I feel like, we were talking about Geo earlier as one of the best epics. I feel like Vogoth is up there as one of the best epics as well.
I agree.
Just so much you can do with this guy, so much support, basically an unkillable tank, or makes your team pretty unkillable. And the addition of being able to just kind of deal with Bommel for you is so massive.
Totally agree with you on Vogoth. All right, Balthus Droglord, he looks really cool, but is he good is the question. If you're looking for an AoE decreased crit rate, look no further. He does have a single target provoke on a 4-turn. Just underwhelming, man. Like, this is not enough to justify building a champion.
But there's really no content where I'd say, build this guy out. There's just nothing. Yeah. Nothing at all. He almost needs a complete rework, or he needs to be another one of those ones that just gets deleted, perhaps use his skin for something else.
Right? Keep the skin. Keep the skin for sure.
Yeah, his skin's cool.
It is cool, but he is. I agree. Anax, this guy hits hard. Clan boss specialist, I would say, right? But he's bringing a lot to the table. Poisons, decreased accuracy, hard hitting A1 with decreased defense, and then big version of weaken on the A3. So he's got a cool passive as well. Yeah,
you have to just be a bit careful in what type of clan boss teams you build him into because of his passive. So if you're trying to like speed tune a team and get to a certain comp, and then all of a sudden he just pops an extra turn. That's not good.
No.
So tends to work best in block damage type of unkillables like Dimither or Helicath, that type of thing. But yeah, I mean, he hits so freaking hard, and he brings basically all the debuffs you want, for an unkillable style team. So really cool champ if you can get him built out.
Very good point there on that active effect of the passive. All right. And that is all of our Undead Hordes. Demon Spawn, here we come. Allure, one of the best control champions in the game, A1. Anything else to add there?
Not really. That's all she needs.
That's all she... I mean, just
awesome.
Insanely good control ability with the turn meter on the A1. And then we have Excruciator. I have not built Excruciator, but I heard she has really insane multipliers. She's a block revive single target on the A2, but is that enough to... We talked about this a lot. Is that enough to justify building a champion,
Yeah, not really. So, and you're right. She just one-shot anyone you liked with this A2. Back in the day, people used to build her out as like kind of block revive, take out a healer or a turn meter booster or someone like that. But there's too much block in that now for it to be the go-to. It's not enough. It's not enough.
Totally agree. Akoth the Seared. Good for Spider 24, and that's about it, in my opinion. What about you? Do you have any other utility on this guy?
Yeah, I mean, he's got an AoE HP burn. So, for a lot of content that is later game, if you don't have damage dealers, then the burn can be your damage. But yeah, I mean, mainly he's a Spider champion who does a lot of work without needing a lot to do it. Like, doesn't need books or anything. He just gets the job done, which is nice. On a 3-turn, an AoE HP burn, you can't really be upset with that.
I agree. Yeah, he's very effective at what he does. It's kind of niche, and he needs to have more enemies alive in order to land it at a dependable rate on the A2. But where he's used mostly, again, Spider, maybe Faction War, something like that, you're going to have enough enemies alive to consistently place that. So again, a pretty cool champion. At least you can have some utility, which is more than you can say Hades out of like half the Doom Tower hard champions.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
You got Vildrax. Do you like this bug, man?
Not really. I mean, it's probably the only true support champion with Hex.
Mm-hmm.
So, someone that can actually set up like one of the big damage dealers. But I don't think there's enough going on here for him to be really relevant. Needs a bit more.
I agree.
Yeah, the A2 is okay, obviously placed in Hex, but Hex alone doesn't do anything, or it adds a little bit of damage, I guess, to your team nowadays, but doesn't really do enough to warrant what this guy's going to be doing. So needs something more really on his A3 or his A1 to be a bit more relevant, I think. But yeah,
when it was added, there wasn't that many AoE hexes at all out there, even though Hex wasn't that good either back then. But so he's still a pretty dependable Hex liar for your team, but now we have like Mithrala and Thylesia, so I agree. I'd like to see a little bit more out of that guy. Scion. He's cool looking.
This guy
He's
was
cool
like
looking.
the biggest meme, right?
I know.
He was added as the login champion.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like...
just trash.
Where the hell would you use this login champion when you've been playing the game for well over a year?
Yeah. He's got a self-cleanse. That's about it, All right. Arenis. That's how you say her name?
Arenis.
There we go.
I would go with,
Yeah, sure.
What's your view on Arenis?
I have not built her, but I heard that she's pretty good. She has a block buzz on an A3. I heard she has good multipliers as well. Makes sense with that base attack being pretty high. So I guess like a decent nuker. Increase the duration of all debuffs on the target. 4-turn cooldown. I don't know, average. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know actually if she does do high damage or not. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but
I can pull up those multipliers on HellHades.com while you start.
Yeah,
while you're talking.
we'll have a look.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think pretty underwhelming. She needs, if she's don't have block buff, she could do with it going AOE because mainly you'd use that in Hydra or in Arena, so that's not really going to do much for us here. Got a bit of poison, but it's kind of weak compared to other epics now. Just feels like the only ability she's got here is increasing the duration of debuffs. And that's going on a 4-turn. It's just like, come on. She needs some love, I think.
That Engulfing Flame has a 5 multiplier, so not too bad. On her AoE, it's only a 3.2. So, like, although they're respectable numbers, not high enough for me to justify building her.
No.
All right, Soul Drinker. What do you think of this guy?
This guy's kind of fun.
I like
this
him.
Is one of these champions where it's like, yes, you've got a completely different skill set, and people have to watch out for this guy. He can do some silly stuff. Like, he puts out some good bomb damage. He hits hard anyway, but you pair him up with a Gaius, and all of a sudden you've got some sort of disgusting team that's just
Kamikaze
blowing up the enemy.
bombs. Yeah.
Which is kind of fun. I love it. I love that type of different mechanic in the game.
Yeah.
That nobody's kind of expecting to see.
I agree. Very cool bomb champion. He has that when he dies, he's placing the 2 bombs.
Yeah.
And then when Gaius dies, he's detonating all the bombs. So very, very cool.
Yeah, that's it.
Nizana. So we have a decrease attack champion with ally protect as well on a 3-turn cooldown. To me, pretty good champion. She had the AoE on the A1. Not like game changing, but I definitely leaned on her personally for Demon Spawn Faction Wars, to just support my team essentially.
Yeah. And a couple of AoEs, you can put her in a stun set as well, and she'll get off a decent amount of stuns. Yeah. Pretty decent champion. Shields herself. I'd say like not top tier in any way, but she does enough to kind of warrant a faction war spot.
Yeah. The AoE decrease attack plus the ally protect, just a nice job of keeping your team alive for the most part, Infernal Baroness.
Weirdly similar champion, actually.
Yeah, right? A little bit.
But not quite as good.
I had to lean heavily on Infernal Baroness when I finished Faction Wars as well. As my healer, I had to use her and Tanex Hayflower as my healers because I didn't have Duchess at the time. But she also has a Perfect Veil on an ally for 3 turns on a 4-turn cooldown, or you could just build her in a stun set and just A1, A2 all day on her. Yeah. So like not a bad champion, but not a super standout either.
I feel like the A3 just needs to change. The A3 either needs to go across more allies, or it needs to have something else in the kit, or grants an extra turn or something.
Extra turn, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, she does that on auto. That's what she does. So she's like wasting a whole turn of just like, yeah, you can't see me now. And it's like, well, are you going to do anything or not?
Yeah, right? Either shut that ability off totally, or make it maybe a passive on a 5-turn cooldown. Just play at the start of the turn, places a Perfect Veil. I don't know. Tanex Hayflower, actually, she is a champion who I hated when she was introduced to the game, but now I have a lot of respect for her because of the heal on the A1. Really helped me out, and the decreased speed. It's putting it on all enemies instead, as long as the attack is critical. So if you need a good AoE decreased speed, look no further than Tanex Hayflower. She's not like a game-changing champion, but she's free,
Yeah, and actually, I mean, Hydra, decreased speed's one of the best debuffs I think you can land, and the fact that she's going to do it against all enemies, it's actually pretty useful. Like the heal and decreased speed against Hydra is not terrible. But yeah, I feel like she needs one more thing.
Yeah.
Give us something else. And then all of a sudden we got a champion here. But yeah, not terrible, but again, not great.
Yeah, I can definitely get some utility out of her, but I agree. I checked the Wenderin, though. Talk about a unique, awesome champion, right? I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, I love this champion. This is actually one of my favorite epics.
Okay.
In terms of like a unique epic, you just... When I pull a champion like this, I'm like, yes, this is going to change my account. So, that AoE on the A3, where you've got the chance to freeze or burn, normally it's a freeze. So good. If you're trying to... I guess when you pair it with a burner and then you start to look at the passive, it's like, I'm healing everyone, I'm filling your turn meter. At the same point, we're stopping the enemies moving and we're killing them at the same time. Like, it's just so much going on.
Yeah.
If you can get a burner in there as well, and then obviously the A2 there with nice block debuffs and strengthen.
Yeah.
Really
it's
good.
It's a great kit. Great kit. That passive is just insane when you pair like a Mordecai or something like that. It's just like, what is going on? It's just triggering all over the place. And defensive order in all battles. I actually have this champion on my free to play, and really helpful everywhere, basically.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
All right, Hellgazer. Not a big fan for me. No. Yeah, right?
It's one of those.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
Needs
I'll
a buff.
remove debuffs from me. Okay, well done. Yeah, come on. It's a buff.
Yeah, increased attack needs to be on all champions, and then at least you got some utility there. But come on, that's very selfish.
Perhaps cleanse the whole team.
I mean, maybe, right? And it's on a 4-turn cooldown on the A3, too. Put that, I don't know. All right, it needs a buff. Tarshan. Tarshan's a champion that is, I don't know, an all-right champ, right? It's a defensive-based champion, an AoE big version of Weaken, and then increase defense with turn meter fill, albeit on a 4-turn cooldown. You can do a lot better, you can do a lot worse, right? So I think that, A solid
I think
support.
This is one of these kind of champions that if you're trying to boost the damage of your defensive nuker and get them moving as well, actually a really good supporting act. But
I agree.
There's a rare, what's the rare? I can't think of the rare, but the rare Void Rare does the same job basically, but a slightly better. I think
who is it? What is the ability? What is the ability? It does what?
It does increased defense and increases turn meter at the same time.
Oh, Doomscreech.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
All right.
So I think the turn meter boost is slightly better, but
you're right. It's 30%.
This isn't a bad champion.
Yeah. Not a bad champion, no. And, the AoE weaken, to your point, like if you're using as a setup for a defense-based nuker, you got the weaken and you got the increased defense, so could do a lot worse. Gorlos Helma, a champion I have not built, but I heard this guy really can smack for a debuffer. Yeah,
and he's got the AoE drop defense, right? So that's on a 3-turn. We spoke about this earlier.
Perfect.
3-turn, 100% chance. The affinity's often kind of poor if you're talking about arena, because often you fight against a lot of magic champions, certainly as you work your way through the game.
Yeah.
But 100% chance, decreased defense. For certain affinities, that's going to be great for kind of getting through dungeons and for faction wars. He's also got a burn as well. Yeah, pretty decent champion, I think.
Yeah. It's on a 4-turn cooldown, but it lasts for 3 turns, decreased accuracy as well. So, overall, I think a really solid addition to the to Demon Spawn. Speaking of solid additions to Demon Spawn, Magnar, everybody's favorite HP-based nuker, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Loads of damage on this A2. Yeah.
This percussive pound is it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. All right, Dur the Hungerer, the Reviver. Finally,
the long needed, wasn't it?
I know,
it was the long needed reviver. Revives 2 champions, a bit similar to a couple of the ones we spoke about in the dwarf faction. Just needed for this faction. Not doing tons else, like not doing a lot more than that, but actually for faction wars, you need all your team alive. So I mean, happy to level her to 50, just keep her there, and pretty much just kind of watch her go.
Oh, it's a her. I didn't know it was a her. There you go. Okay.
So I think it's kind of based on the Little Mermaid.
Okay. Sounds good. But you're right. I mean, for Faction Wars, I wish I had her during Faction Wars. Defensive and Faction Crypts aura, and then Revive, Solid. All right. We have Erdakata, who is the other bug of Vildrax's friend there. Have poison sensitivity, has a hex as well. To me, pretty underwhelmed by Erdakata. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you're going to use her, it's going to be clan boss, I think. So you can put out a decent amount of poisons, and with that, with poison sensitivity as well, you do a bit of work.
Yeah.
Kind of similar in quality, I think, to a Frozen Banshee in terms of, we're talking about a rare champion that's probably much easier to book and lower cost and that type of stuff. You'll get a similar level of damage, maybe a bit less damage potentially. So, yeah, I'd say probably a bit underwhelming, really.
Yeah, I think that probably I'd rather have Frozen Banshee, but it's close. We have Hex here as well. But the fact that we're comparing her to a rare probably says enough, right?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Padma, are you a fan of Padma?
So I definitely was a fan of Padma. I think she might have just been kind of crept out of the game a touch, but 100% chance to land a decreased attack as a void affinity. So back in the day when we absolutely wanted that ability to land on clan boss, she was one of the best.
Yeah.
And she also has got a really cool kind of like anti Skull Crown type ability here. So on the A3, she's going to remove the buffs and then smack the enemy. So that's pretty cool as well. AoE decrease accuracy is okay. Hits hard, defensive based champion, so kind of keep her tanky. But decent but not crazy, I'd say.
Okay, cool. Next up, Umbral Enchantress. Massive fan of Umbral Enchantress. She got the 2-turn provoke. She locks herself out, but it's still a great ability, unique ability. And then we have the A2, which actually has new utility against Hydra Clan Boss. If you're looking for a block buffs that's up for 3 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, look no further than Umbral Enchantress. Great champion.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and again, one of those kind of simple kits, but interesting enough to kind of just get some work in a lot of areas. Yeah,
she can deal a little bit of damage too, for a defensive-based champion. Skimfos the Consumed. Have you ever built this dude?
Yes, only recently. So I was sleeping on this guy big time. I was just not thinking this guy was worthwhile building at all. And then for my challenge, when I was talking about this challenge against Scratch, I had to use Demon Spawn. And he came in as my kind of like spider turn me to control, and damn, he did a great job.
Yeah.
He did a really good job of it. Like his A1 paired with the A3, I was just like, wow, I did not expect. He was on his own keeping the turn meter down on spider, whilst I was letting like the rest of my team do the job of, you know, basically nuking it. So yeah, I was really impressed with him being able to do that. Outside of spider, I don't know if he's going to be played a ton, but for that position, like he did a really good job.
Yeah, I was also impressed with him when I built him, Hades. He also brings everything that you mentioned, and he also has kind of a cool thing where he's transferring all debuffs from all allies to himself on his A2, and then he's moving them from himself to an enemy on his A3. So it's kind of a cool synergy there. Definitely an interesting, a unique champion, you know? A unique champion.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Yeah, better than I thought he was, for sure.
The last faction before we can move on to your video, Hades.
Let's go.
Again, Ultimate Galek. I'm not a fan. I hate him, actually.
Yeah, I mean, he used to be the only epic that could burn, right? So he's the only... So back in the day, it was like, yeah, I really want him because there's not many burners out there. But now we got a ton more, so he probably just falls to the wayside, really.
So many burners now. And you're right. When he was added, it was like, yeah, he was a viable option. But all the conditionality, now you don't even need to deal with that, you know? So Duke the Pierced.
Yeah, I'm big time converted on this guy. Yeah. I got him on my kind of like previous free to play. Thinking, I'm not really sure. And I was just like, built him out and I was like, wow, actually he's a great champion, you know, with the AoE, drop defense and attack, got decreased accuracy on his A1. And I always was kind of like of the opinion, just turn the A3 off. You're never going to use it.
Yeah.
The amount of times this A3 came in clutch for me when I was like about to die and I was like, hold on, provoke, take the damage into this guy. He's a tank.
Unkillable.
And, very, actually really, really cool epic champion.
I agree. It's hard to, I don't want to compare him to Stag Knight because Stag Knight's like the king of debuffers, but it's a tankier version of Stag Knight in some regard, you know?
Slightly different kits, but equally as good.
He has decreased accuracy instead of decreased speed on his A1. He doesn't have the pinpoint accuracy passive. However, he does have that provoke to your point, can be handy, and he's defensive based, so he's tougher to kill. Okay, Old Hermit Jorg. Pretty solid reviver. He's got the 2 random allies again on a 5-turn cooldown. Similar to, although 1 turn longer, the Caden, Melga. Yeah. So we have increased attack as well with a turn meter boost. Just a solid reviver, right?
Yeah, he's got turn meter feel on that. So it's kind of a similar to a Gordoran, perhaps not quite as good, but I think decent. It was decent for the faction. They definitely needed a better reviver than Shaman.
Yes. Yes. All right, Torture Helm.
Yeah, actually, this is the champion I was talking about earlier when we were talking about Deathless. And, you know, this kind of champion where he's got a pretty unique passive.
Yep.
So just revives himself when he's killed.
Yep.
And basically, and then he pops up and does a ton of damage. So he can solo stuff like Dragon 25 in pretty reasonable builds. And yeah, I was kind of, he's one of these champions that I just slept on, never really thought he'd ever have any place in the game. And then all of a sudden it's like, damn, this guy's pretty fun. He's quite cool. I
want to do a video on him. I haven't built him, but a lot of like cool things you can do with the kit, fun stuff. To your point, Zargala. Are you in the camp of Zargala's power crept? Or are you in the camp of I still love Zargala?
I think she's great, kind of through the early mid game. If you pick her up early and you build her out as your drop defense champion, also a nuker. Mm-hmm. I really like the A2. I really like it. Just the chance to just activate the A3 straight away again. The thing I don't like is just, it feels like a lot of books and you need her fully booked to get her going.
Yeah.
You know, you need these cooldowns, you need the extra damage to really get her kit working. And she requires quite a lot of stats to get going well. You know, she needs to be quick. She's got to have the accuracy to land stuff and she needs to do a lot of damage, which doesn't really leave any stats for staying alive.
True.
So she's not the easiest one to build. You know, she's almost like she's going to help you most early game, but you can't really build her properly until you're a bit further on into the game, is my view.
Yeah, true. She's a good damage dealer. To your point, if you have the gear to build her correctly, she can be placed in weaken, big version, and to decrease defense on bosses especially, help for wave clearing. So I'm kind of, I'm kind of in the middle. I still like Zargala a lot, but I think she's not quite as good maybe as she was a couple years ago. Bloodfeather. Bloodfeather, not interested in this champion, even though I heard she has decent multipliers.
Yeah, I think she's got a little bit of turn meter stuff and decreased speed going on. Like single boss, maybe a faction war filler if you're really struggling.
Yeah.
That's about all I can say about that. That's the only positive I can throw out there. I wouldn't build one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish this was a 4-turn, book down to 3 on the charge shot, just because decreased speed, it's nice, but it's there 2 out of every 4 turns. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Bone Keeper. Any thoughts on Bone Keeper?
I mean, she's one of these ones. She hits hard. That's
about it.
Really, all she's got, and it's all single target.
It's like yeah, it's awful.
Come on.
I'm not a fan.
Terrible kit.
Shaman, I'm really not a fan. I mean, you could definitely use her as an early game reviver, but I don't know. Yeah. I would pass on her on my free to play.
I really feel like they should improve her kit.
Yeah,
if they're going to keep kind of, I know we get other champions now that
force feeding us. Yeah.
But if everyone's going to get this champion very early on in the game, then because people notoriously they're just going to throw books at her and build her out because that's what people do.
Yep.
And actually, she's really weak. She's one of the worst epics for me. I just don't think she's great at all.
They could definitely make this recall revive 2 allies on a 5-turn cooldown. It's a crappy revive already. I don't know. Okay, Terror Beast. I only know him from like Ice Golem Waves, right, with the reflect damage or whatever.
Yeah, he's really annoying to fight.
Yeah, but to actually use him, nah, I'm not a fan.
No, no, same. I mean, the only real utility you've got here is reflect damage against finite is pretty good for your team. So, and it goes on for a 3 turn.
3 turns,
so, yeah, you've got a good chance of just breaking down a load of that shield when you take a hit. But outside of that, it's really weak champion.
Yeah, give him at least a multi-hitter on A1, as well. Make him a full, complete Fire Knight specialist. Vrask. You still like Vrask? Still a great healer. Still one of the better ones.
Yeah, he's cool. The main thing I love about Vrask is his passive just needs you to do a crit.
Yes.
Yeah, so you don't need to kind of worry about too much of his build. Yeah. It's just like, as long as you hit a crit and you've got a good amount of HP, you're healing. And, if you've got retaliation gear on, every time you retaliate, you get the heal away. And it's just a very simple, cool champion to try and help you heal your way through some harder content, I think.
Absolutely agree with you. Sandlashed Survivor. I'm a big fan of Sandlash, man. Endless Sand's great ability on the A2. Decrease the duration of enemy buffs. Increase the duration of all ally buffs. A game changer for clan boss or really any long battle, Great. It just has a profound effect to have both of those abilities or decrease and increase on the same ability. And then that passive is fantastic. The Ally Protect. It's on a 4-turn cooldown, but it's triggered when any ally's HP drops below 50% block damage on this champion. So overall, defense in all battles too. Just a great support champion. Clan boss.
Yeah, I really like this champion.
Yeah.
Cool. And I really like the mechanic of the block damage coming in. Makes it a really fun kind of go second arena champion as well. If you're trying to get your way into an arena fight. I mean, maybe could do with something else in the kit now. Probably used to be one of my faves for this type of ability, but we've had a few more pop up recently with God Seekers and a few more that can kind of do this skill. So perhaps just feels like she's drifting away a touch, but I mean, still great utility, good support champ for sure.
All right, we have Yella Gurna, a new-ish, epic champion in the game. Have you built her, first of all?
I have not, no. So it came out whilst I was away.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been looking at a kit. I wasn't massively impressed, albeit, the passive's quite cool here. Yeah. So, the revive if you kill, and I think she does a decent amount of damage. So, pretty good chance to revive. I mean, have you built her out?
I have not built her out, but I think she's maybe slightly above average, like average to slightly above. Like, I don't think it justifies she's a must build or anything like that, but she's bringing the 100% decrease attack to the table on a 3-turn cooldown, block active skills, block buffs, basically taking somebody out of the battle, maybe killing them, reviving. Like, she's bringing a decent amount, but doesn't blow me away. Unlike Seer, who really blows me away. Karma Burn is just still a great. I actually use a lot less Seer than I used to because I switched to like poison combust teams for dungeons. Right. But I still run Seer on Doom Tower waves, and she's still the best at what she does. Saves a lot of time for players out there, right?
For sure, yeah. I've actually got Seer on my free-to-play, and I got her really early.
Okay.
And I mean, obviously we all rave about Seer. She's one of the best champions in the game.
The
for
setup
damage.
is so
yeah, but it's all dependent on setup. And actually, I mean, she still did quite a lot of work for me because although I wasn't able to kill people with the A3, it still sent everyone to sleep. So it gave me a load of time to kind of get other work done.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, early game it's one of these funny things. Like a lot of these champions which are enemy max HP skilled, they get better as you progress further in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't deny she's one of the best, if not the best, wave clearer in Raid. With the right setup, with the right team.
Absolutely. I cannot deny. I agree with you, man. We have Tuok the Wanderer. Are you a Tuok fan?
Yeah, so I think I'm kind of a bit on the fence with this guy.
Okay.
He's got the AoE drop speed, whilst increasing his own speed. He's got a bit of turn meter control going on. He hits pretty hard on the A2, which is good, like a good smack on the A2. I just don't really feel like there's much in the game for him right now.
Okay.
It's almost like he's meant to be a bit of a finite champion, but he doesn't quite have enough multi-hitters to really make him like stand out in that set. In that zone. Doesn't have a heal reduction either. So yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like he's close.
I like him. I use him a lot, but it's mainly now that because while you were talking, I'm like, okay, where do I know I use him a lot? Where do I use him? It's mostly just as DPS in those epic only like secret rooms. Like whenever there is one, I'm like, okay, he's my aura lead, attacking all battles by 22%, and then I can he smacks. He has a stun. He has a stealing turn meter. So I think it brings a lot to the table. The AoE decreased speed, especially on a 3-turn, with a lot of damage. You can do a lot worse. But I agree with you, like in terms of being a mainstay in the meta, I don't think he's there, Tolth the Maimed. He's a trash champion, in my opinion. What do you think of this guy? He has the cool passive. That's about it, though.
Yeah, he looks cool. He should go and have dinner with that who's the other guy with the shield on his hands.
Oh, Balthus Stroglord. Yeah. He should. He should.
This guy... He almost felt like a bit like Cornelia when he came out. It's like, hold on a minute, is this guy going to be good?
Yeah.
Is he going to be good for something? But he just is not.
Nope.
And like you pull this guy as your Void Epic.
Ooh.
He shouldn't even be a Void Rare.
You're like, where's the rest of the kit, man?
Yeah. It's like, what did you think?
Oh,
you were making this kit do?
Dude, and a new player pulls this guy, he looks so badass. You're probably like, yes, I got this guy. And you're like,
straight away, all of my books into this guy. He must smack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He all right.
Trash.
Liburga, nobody has Liburga yet, but they have the 2 poisons, points of sensitivity on the A2. We got poison on the A1. Then we get increased defense and attack on a 4-turn on the A3. Passive, when attacked, has a 50% chance increasing the duration of all poison debuffs on the attacker by 1 turn. Before the passive, I'm like, yeah, just like an all right, good-ish kit. But with the passive, like that's some nice poison synergy on the A2, A1, and passive,
Yeah. So I think the kit is good. I wish you could just pick this champion out much sooner.
Yeah, because, right. We'll all see her in 100 years or...
Yeah, but the trouble is, when you get to her, if you get to her, poison's less important than it used to be. As you work your way through the game, eventually poison starts to drop off, and you're probably more focused on burners or different mechanics. Yeah, and I don't feel like she would be used by the time you get her. But if you got her quite early on, actually, I think she'd be only into clan boss teams and dragon teams and all sorts. So I don't know. It's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is there somewhat a funky way that you can pair her against like the Iron Twins with a instant combustor poison where she's increasing the duration? I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching there.
Well,
but finally, we've come to a conclusion of the first half of all the epics in the game. Go ahead and check out HellHades YouTube channel where we'll cover the remaining 8 factions. I'll see you guys over there. Hades, thank you for joining me, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Ash, thank you so much, man. It's been a pleasure as always. Hope you enjoyed it, guys.
All right, guys, thank you for watching until the end. And as always, take care, guys.